You know, we make thousands of judgments every single day, mostly based on what we see. But what if our eyes are only telling us, like, half the story? What if the most important truths are the ones hidden just beneath the surface? Well, that's what we're diving into today, the challenge of how to see beyond appearances.
Yeah, this slide really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? On the left, that's our default mode, right? We judge by how things look, by status, by that first impression. But on the right, that's a much deeper way of seeing, one that looks for character, for what's in someone's heart, for all that hidden potential. And this tension, it's the engine behind some of the most powerful stories we have. All right, so for our first story, let's jump into a really pivotal moment in the book of Samuel. A new king has to be chosen, and you'd think, hey, a prophet would be the perfect person for the job. But as you're about to see, even a prophet has to learn how to look past the obvious. Okay, so picture this. The prophet Samuel shows up ready to anoint a king. The first son, Eliab, walks in. He's tall, he's impressive, he looks every bit the part. Samuel's convinced this is the guy. But nope, he's wrong. One by one, 7 of Jesse's sons are brought forward, and one by one, they're all rejected. The tension is just building and building. Samuel is confused, and he has to ask, hey, are these all the sons you have? It's only then that they even mention David, the youngest, who was considered so unimportant they just left him out in the fields. And get this, he's the one who gets chosen. And boom, that's the moment the whole lesson just clicks into place. This is a direct challenge to how we naturally think. While Samuel saw a king's height, God saw a king's heart. And this isn't just about ancient kings. It's a huge statement that our entire value system, what we look for in leaders, in partners, in ourselves, might be totally backward from a divine perspective. And listen, David's story, it's not some random one-off event. It's part of a very deliberate pattern. I mean, just look at the evidence. Moses, the great leader, apparently had trouble speaking. Jeremiah's objection was that he was just a kid. Timothy was known for not being in the best of health. It's almost like the qualities we see as weaknesses just don't matter. The deciding factor isn't our own strength, but just being available. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and head over to the Gospel of John. We're going to see how this theme builds into a story that explores 2 very different kinds of blindness, one of the eyes and one of the heart. So here we meet this guy who's been physically blind his entire life. He gets healed and his whole world is transformed. But the real story isn't just about his eyes. As he starts to see the physical world for the first time, he also starts to gain this deep spiritual insight. He even bravely defends what happened to him when the powerful people start questioning him. And then you've got the Pharisees, a total contrast. These are the religious leaders. They can see just fine, but man, their spiritual vision is totally blocked. They're so hung up on their rules, like the fact that Jesus performed this miracle on the Sabbath, that they're completely blind to the incredible thing that happened right in front of them. That certainty they have, it's basically their prison. And this is where the irony of the whole story just slaps you in the face. The man who started out blind ends up being the one who can truly see. But the leaders, the ones with perfect eyesight, end up completely blind to the truth. The man's obstacle was physical, but theirs, it was their own rigid certainty. They just couldn't see past their rulebook, while the healed man just embraced what really happened. So, you see, these stories aren't just some dusty old tales. They're actually pointing to a whole new way of living, a fundamental shift in who you are, moving from darkness to light. The Apostle Paul uses this absolutely stunning metaphor to get the point across. And really pay attention to the wording here. He doesn't say you were in darkness, he says you were darkness. This transformation isn't about just tweaking your old self, it's a complete change of identity. You become something fundamentally new, light. There's this brilliant term from the early Christian community that just captures this perfectly. Neophyte. It literally means new plant. Just think about that image for a second. A branch is cut and then grafted onto a completely different tree. The goal isn't for the old branch to just produce slightly better fruit, it's for it to draw life from a totally new source and produce something entirely different. That's the kind of radical transformation we're talking about. Okay, so if this big change is happening on the inside, how do you even know it's real? How can you see it? Well, this is the answer. A life lived in the light produces visible evidence. You could call them the fruits of goodness, righteousness, and truth. These aren't just nice ideas. They're the tangible proof that someone is seeing and living in a whole new way. This line, which folks think comes from a really old Christian hymn, is just this powerful call to action. And it shows a kind of partnership. There's a command for us to do something. Wake up,
rise. But that human effort is met with a divine promise, and Christ will shine on you. So it's not all on us, but it's not something that's just done for us either. It's a team effort.
So if we've established that our own vision is, well, pretty flawed, how are we supposed to get through life? The last few texts we're looking at give us this powerful, unifying image, the shepherd, who guides the flock when they can't see the path for themselves. This line, I mean, it's famous for a reason, right? It's a radical statement of humility. It's saying, I'm not the one in charge here. I'm not the all-seeing leader. I'm part of the flock. It's basically admitting, hey, I need a guide, someone whose perspective is way higher and clearer than my own. So what does this shepherd actually do? The psalm lays out a promise of total care. He provides rest, he makes sure you're on the right track, and what's really crucial here is that even in the absolute darkest, scariest places, the ravines of death, his presence is a source of guidance that just removes all fear. This is the ultimate answer to our limited sight, trusting in a guide who sees the whole picture. So, after all that, the overlooked shepherd boy, the blind man who truly saw, the darkness that turned to light, it all comes down to this one big question we have to ask ourselves. What are we missing every single day simply because we're only trusting our eyes